The Ant and the Grasshopper. Once upon a time, in a cozy little meadow, lived two good friends, Annie the ant and Gary the grasshopper. Annie was a hard worker, always busy collecting food and preparing for the winter. On the other hand, Gary loved nothing more than to play his violin, dance, and enjoy the sunny summer days.
"Come join me, Annie,"
Gary would call out, playing a cheerful tune on his violin.
"The sun is shining and the days are long. Why waste it working so hard?"
He would say. Annie would smile, wiping the sweat from her brow, and reply,
"I love the sunshine too, Gary, but winter is coming and we must be ready. There's a time for work and a time for play."
But Gary would just laugh and hop away, singing,
"Winter is far. Summer is here. I'll worry about that when it's near."
As summer turned to autumn, and autumn edged into winter, the meadow became a blanket of snow. Food became scarce, and Gary's songs grew silent. He had danced the summer away without gathering any food for the cold months. Shivering and hungry, Gary hopped to Annie's door.
"Annie, my friend, I'm cold and there's nothing to eat. I spent my summer playing, and now I fear it was a mistake."
Annie welcomed him in, where it was warm and the smell of stored food filled the air. After Gary got warm, Annie said,
"Gary, let this winter teach you a lesson. It's important to prepare for the future, but it's also important to help friends in need."
Together, they shared what Annie had collected. Gary was grateful for Annie's generosity and kindness. As they ate, Gary made a promise.
"Next year I'll balance work and play, so when winter comes, I'll be ready in every way."
And so, Gary learned the value of preparation and hard work, but also the value of friendship and generosity. Annie and Gary spent the rest of the winter planning for the year ahead, making sure they both had time for work and play. The End. The Cautious Deer and the Whispering Winds. In a serene part of the forest, there was a deer named Dia, known for her cautious nature. Unlike other deer who frolicked carelessly, Dia was always alert to dangers. One day, she noticed the forest had grown unusually quiet. The birds weren't singing, and the small animals were hiding. Dia decided to investigate. She soon discovered the reason for the silence. A group of hunters had entered the forest. Realizing the danger they posed to her and her forest friends, Dia thought of a plan to alert everyone without attracting the hunters' attention. Dia approached the forest's wisest owl, known for his deep knowledge of the forest's language. She asked for his help in communicating the danger to the other animals without alarming the hunters. Suggested using the whispering winds, a way to send subtle signals through the rustling leaves. Together, they created a gentle rustling pattern that mimicked the natural sounds of the forest, but carried a warning to those who knew how to listen. The message spread from tree to tree, alerting every animal to the danger without a single sound out of the ordinary. Thanks to Dia's caution and OM's wisdom, the animals stealthily moved to safer parts of the forest. The hunters, finding no game, eventually left. The forest returned to its lively state, with Dia's quick thinking celebrated by all. All the animals learnt the importance of being alert to one's surroundings, the value of seeking wise counsel, and the power of subtle, effective communication. The End. The Fox and the Grapes. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest filled with the sounds of nature, there lived a clever fox named Vinay. Vinay was known throughout the forest for his sharp mind and his adventurous spirit, always on the lookout for new discoveries and, of course, delicious treats. One bright and sunny day, as Vinay was exploring a new part of the forest, he stumbled upon something extraordinary, a vine heavy with the most succulent grapes he had ever seen. They sparkled in the sunlight, hanging just out of his reach, looking like little jewels tempting him.
What a wonderful snack those grapes would be,
thought Vinay, his mouth watering at the sight. Determined to taste the sweet grapes, Vinay took a few steps back, then ran forward and leaped as high as he could, trying to grab some grapes off the vine. But no matter how hard he tried, the grapes remained just out of reach. Not one to give up easily, Vinay tried again and again, each time jumping a bit higher, but the grapes remained just beyond his grasp. After several attempts, Vinay paused to catch his breath, feeling slightly disheartened. He gazed up at the grapes one last time, then an idea struck him.
Those grapes probably aren't even that tasty. They might be sour for all I know.
Vinay said to himself, trying to ease his disappointment.
The forest is full of other wonderful fruits. I don't need those grapes to be happy.
With his spirits lifted by this thought, Vinay turned his back on the vine and ventured deeper into the forest. It wasn't long before he found a bush bursting with ripe, sweet berries.
Now these are sure to be delicious,
he exclaimed, diving into the bush to enjoy his newfound treasure. And so, Vinay learned an important lesson that day. It's not worth getting upset over the things we cannot have. There are always other joys and discoveries around us, if only we look for them and appreciate what we find. The end. The Hare and the Tortoise. Once in a vibrant forest, where animals of all kinds lived in harmony, there were two unlikely friends, Toby the Tortoise and Henry the Hare. Toby was known for his slow, steady pace and thoughtful nature, while Henry was famous for his incredible speed and playful spirit. One sunny morning, inspired by stories of old races, Henry playfully suggested,
Toby, why don't we have a race? It'll be fun.
Toby, always up for a challenge, agreed, and they decided to race across the forest, ending at the big oak tree on the other side. Word of the race spread quickly, and soon all the forest creatures were buzzing with excitement. They gathered to watch, cheering for their favorites. As the race began, Henry darted ahead, quick as lightning, leaving Toby far behind. Confident in his lead, Henry decided to take a break and relax, certain of his victory. Meanwhile, Toby kept moving forward, slow and steady, never stopping, always focused on the path ahead. After a while, Henry woke up from his nap and raced to the finish line, only to find Toby already there, surrounded by their friends. But instead of boasting or mocking, Toby cheered for Henry, celebrating their efforts together. Henry was surprised and a bit embarrassed. He realized his overconfidence had been his downfall, a lesson he'd never forget. Toby, with a wise smile, suggested,
Next time, let's run the race together side by side.
And so they did. From that day forward, Toby and Henry raced together, helping each other along the way. Henry would slow down to keep pace with Toby, and Toby would encourage Henry to keep going when he got distracted. Together, they discovered the beauty of the forest, the joy of companionship, and the thrill of crossing the finish line as friends. The forest creatures cheered not for the winner, but for the display of unity and teamwork. The race became a celebration of friendship, perseverance, and the joy found in shared experiences. And so, in the heart of the forest, the legend of the tortoise and the hare took on a new meaning, teaching generations of young animals the value of friendship, teamwork, and enjoying the journey together, all while reminding them that slow and steady often wins the race, especially when paired with confidence and a humble heart. The end. Prem and Neel. Once upon a time, in a lush, green forest filled with chirping birds and rustling leaves, there lived a peacock named Prem. Prem's feathers were a dazzling array of every color you could imagine, shining and shimmering in the sunlight. But his unique feature was a red patch on his neck. Prem loved to spread joy and laughter among the forest inhabitants. He would tell jokes, perform funny dances, and fan his spectacular feathers in amusing ways, making all the animals smile. One day, a new bird arrived in the forest. His name was Neel, and he was a deep, vibrant blue, unlike any shade the other animals had seen before. Neel felt shy and unsure about his new home, noticing how all the other peacocks had friends and seemed so happy and at ease. Prem noticed Neel sitting quietly and decided to introduce himself. He tried his funniest dance to make Neel laugh, but Neel just looked awkwardly, feeling out of place. Prem didn't give up. He tried telling his best joke, but still, Neel didn't laugh. Feeling a bit sad but not discouraged, Prem decided to try again the next day. The next day, Prem went and sat next to Neel and started chatting. As they talked, Neel began to feel more comfortable. He shared that he was worried he wouldn't fit in because of his unique color. Prem smiled and pointed at his red patch, explaining that being different is what made each of them special. Encouraged by Prem's words, Neel began to open up more. He shared a funny observation from his journey to the forest, and to his surprise, Prem laughed heartily. Before long, the two were sharing stories and laughter, surrounded by other animals who were drawn to their cheerfulness. Prem and Neel became the best of friends, and the forest was even happier for it. Prem taught everyone that making friends wasn't about how you look or how funny you can be. It was about being kind and taking the time to listen and understand each other. Our differences indeed make us unique, and kindness is the bridge that connects us all. Prem and Neel showed the forest that by embracing and celebrating each other's uniqueness, they could create a place where everyone feels welcomed and loved. The end. Bala, the brave bee. Once upon a time, a little bee named Bala lived in the vast, vibrant meadows of Sundarvan. Bala was not like other bees. He was smaller than the others, with a bright golden sheen on his wings that sparkled in the sunlight and a golden orb on his antenna. Unlike his friends, who buzzed about collecting nectar in a hurry, Bala took his time to admire the beauty of each flower, talk to them, and thank them for their sweet nectar. One day, as Bala was fluttering around in the meadow, he noticed the flowers were not as bright and cheerful as usual. Curious, Bala flew down to his favorite flower, a radiant sunflower named Surya, and asked,
"Surya, why do you look so sad today?"
Surya sighed.
Dear Bala, we flowers are worried because the rains haven't come this year. Without water, we cannot survive for long. Our meadow, once a paradise, might soon turn into a barren land.
Bala's heart sank. He couldn't imagine his beautiful home turning into a lifeless place. He decided he must do something to help. He thanked Surya and buzzed off with determination. Bala flew over rivers, fields, and forests seeking help. Finally, he reached the majestic mountains where he met Vayu, the wind god. Bala bravely approached Vayu and shared the plight of the meadow. Vayu, impressed by Bala's courage and concern, said,
Little Bala, your love for your home and friends is commendable. I will help you. Go back and tell everyone to be ready.
Bala zoomed back to Sundarvan, his wings buzzing with excitement. He spread the news, and all the flowers, trees, and creatures prepared in anticipation. The next day, as the first light of dawn touched the meadow, Vayu arrived with a gentle breeze. The breeze grew stronger and soon brought dark clouds. The clouds rumbled, and it began to rain. The raindrops danced on the petals, leaves, and the earth. The flowers bloomed brighter than ever. The trees stood tall and green, and the river gushed with clear, sparkling water. Bala buzzed around joyously, thanking Vayu for his kindness. The wind god smiled and said,
It was your love and bravery that saved Sundarvan, Bala. Remember, determination can make a big difference.
From that day on, Bala became a hero in the meadow. He continued to explore and make new friends, always reminding everyone of the importance of caring for their home and each other. And so, the meadow of Sundarvan remained a paradise, filled with laughter, songs, and the busy buzzing of a little bee named Bala, whose big heart had saved them all. The end. The Dog and the Bone. Once upon a time, in the beautiful pink city of Jaipur, lived a dog named Bunty. Bunty had an adventurous spirit and was always on a quest for delicious treats. One sunny afternoon, Bunty stumbled upon a treasure he had never imagined, a juicy, meaty bone, more succulent than anything he had ever seen. With excitement, he grabbed the bone and decided to look for a quiet place to enjoy his find. Bunty trotted along the serene banks of the Mansagar Lake and found a quiet spot to enjoy his bone. Suddenly, his eyes caught a reflection in the water. Bunty saw a dog staring back at him, holding a bone, but Bunty did not realize that it was his reflection. He thought the reflection was another dog with a bone that seemed even bigger and juicier. Bunty's heart raced with desire.
Why settle for one bone when I could have two?
He thought greedily. In a moment of folly, Bunty barked at the reflection, hoping to scare the other dog away and claim the second bone. He barked loudly across the calm lake, but then the bone fell out of his mouth and sank into the deep, clear water and disappeared. Bunty jumped into the lake looking for the bone, but alas, he couldn't find it. His heart sank, and he realized the mistake of his greed.
I had enough, and yet I wanted more, and now I have lost it all.
Bunty thought sadly, his ears drooping as he pondered over his loss. As the sun tucked away, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink, Bunty's luck changed. Walking down Jaipur's lively lanes, he came across a kind-hearted chef. Seeing Bunty's sad face, the chef offered him a bone, saved from the day's feast. Overjoyed, Bunty snatched up the unexpected gift, his heart filled with happiness. Bone in mouth, he continued his journey home, the weight of his earlier lessons still fresh in his mind. Happily trotting along, Bunty saw a slice of bread on the ground, but he recollected what happened before and thought,
No, I've got enough.
and kept walking with the bone he had. He learned that being too greedy could mean losing what you have, and that being happy with what you've got is a warm, cozy feeling all by itself. So, under the sparkling stars, Bunty enjoyed his bone, feeling lucky not just for the treat, but for the lesson he'd learned. It was a good day after all, and Bunty felt just right. The end. The Fox and the Crow. Once upon a time, in a vibrant forest in India, there lived a clever fox named Vinay. Vinay loved exploring the forest, always on the lookout for food and adventures. One beautiful morning, Vinay spotted Chintu, the crow, sitting on a branch high up in a tree. Chintu had a big, delicious piece of vada, a variety of lentil fritter, in his beak. Seeing the vada, Vinay's tummy started to grumble with hunger. Vinay came up with a clever idea. He shouted up to Chintu,
Hello, Chintu. You look so majestic today. Your feathers are so glossy. I've heard stories about your amazing voice. Could you please sing a song for me? I'm eager to hear how beautiful it is.
Feeling very pleased with the compliments, Chintu forgot all about the vada. He wanted to prove how wonderful his voice was, so he took a deep breath, opened his beak, and started to sing his heart out. As soon as Chintu began to sing, the piece of vada tumbled from his beak and fell to the ground. Vinay quickly scooped it up, but when he looked up at Chintu, he saw the disappointment in the crow's eyes. Vinay felt a pang of guilt. He had never seen Chintu look so sad.
Chintu trusted me and I tricked him.
Vinay thought to himself. Feeling sorry for what he had done, Vinay called out,
Chintu, I'm sorry for tricking you. It wasn't kind of me. Let's share the vada as friends.
Chintu flew down, and they both sat and shared the vada. As they ate, Vinay realized that making a new friend felt much better than winning through trickery. From that day on, Vinay and Chintu became good friends, often sharing meals and stories. Vinay learned an important lesson. Sharing and kindness are more rewarding than being sneaky, and true happiness comes from being a good friend. The end. The Blue Jackal's Tale. Once upon a time in a jungle, there lived a smart and intelligent jackal named Jai, with a natural curiosity for city life. One fine evening, Jai decided to visit the city which was closest to the jungle. Jai started to explore every nook and cranny of the city. While wandering, he entered a textile factory and accidentally fell into a vat of blue dye. When he climbed out, he was as blue as the sky. Jai thought, "Wow, I look like a magical creature." He decided to have some fun. With a stride of pure confidence, he walked into the jungle, leaving the other animals astonished and surprised. He went to the other animals and announced, "I am Jai, the Blue Wonder, sent by the guardian spirits." The animals were amazed and immediately chose him as their leader. Jai, the Blue Wonder, started organizing fun activities. They had races. They had a talent show. They even had a disco night. Jai used his newfound status to also resolve disputes among the animals. Jai loved bringing joy and laughter to his animal friends. But one night, a group of jackals from the outskirts came to the city and howled their special jackal song. Jai couldn't resist and howled back. His true identity was revealed, and the animals were surprised. "Jai is just a jackal." Jai sheepishly looked at them. Embarrassed, Jai admitted he was just a regular jackal who turned blue by accident. The animals were a bit upset at first, but they forgave him because he brought so much fun into their lives. Jai learned a big lesson. Being honest is the best way to make true friends. Jai decided to go back to his old self and jumped into the river. He came out, no longer blue. From that day, he continued to organize fun events, but as Jai the Jackal, not the Blue Wonder. And the animals loved him even more for being his true, playful self. The end. The Tortoise and the Geese. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a tortoise named Kachu. Kachu was a cheerful tortoise who loved to share stories and jokes with his friends. Among his best friends were two geese, Gilly and Gooey, who lived in a nearby pond. They spent many happy hours together, chatting and laughing. One year, the forest faced a terrible drought. The pond began to dry up, and food became scarce. Gilly and Gooey knew they had to fly to a distant lake where they could find food and water. But they were worried about leaving Kachu behind. Kachu couldn't travel fast enough to keep up with them, and the journey was long and dangerous. Gilly suddenly came up with an idea. "We can carry Kachu with us to the lake. All we need is a strong stick." Kachu was touched by his friend's kindness, but couldn't imagine how they could carry him. Gilly and Gooey explained their plan. Kachu would bite down on the middle of a stick, and each goose would hold an end of the stick in their beaks. That way, they could fly together to the lake. Excited by the adventure, Kachu agreed. Gilly warned him, "You must keep your mouth shut the whole time. If you open it to speak, you will fall." Kachu replied, "I promise to stay quiet. Your safety is as important as mine, and I trust your plan." The next day, they set off. As they flew, they passed over forests, hills, and villages. As they flew over the village, amazed onlookers pointed and marveled at the sight. The attention made Kachu very proud, and he forgot the plan. He opened his mouth to boast and suddenly fell. Miraculously, he landed unharmed on a patch of hay. Kachu moved to a safer place and sighed in relief as his friends came swooping down worried for him. Kachu, realizing his mistake, promised to Gilly and Gooey that he would not open his mouth for the rest of their journey. The trio again started on their journey. After a long journey, they finally reached the lake. They spent the rest of the season at the lake, enjoying the plentiful food and water, and sharing many more stories and laughs. Kachu never forgot the day his voice almost cost him everything. He grew wiser, cherishing the quiet moments and the unbreakable bond he shared with Jilly and Gooey. The end. The Lion and the Three Bulls. Once upon a time, in the beautiful meadows of Sundarvan, there lived three inseparable friends: Bala, the brown bull, Veer, the black bull, and Gopi, the white bull. They were known across the land for their unbreakable bond. They grazed together on the lush green grass, played in the sparkling streams, and rested under the cool shade of banyan trees. Their friendship was their strength, and together they felt they could face any challenge. Now, in the same meadows, lived a clever lion named Sharu. Sharu was known for his wisdom, but had grown old and found it difficult to hunt. He had watched Bala, Veer, and Gopi for days, marveling at their friendship. He missed the days of his youth when he, too, had friends to roam with. Now, the loneliness echoed in his roars, and he longed for companionship. One day, Sharu had an idea. He thought,
"If I could only get them to separate, maybe I could convince them to be my friend."
So, Sharu put on his thinking cap and came up with a plan to talk to each of the bulls when they were alone. To Bala, Sharu said,
"Wow, Bala, you have the juiciest grass in your part of the meadow, but why should you share it with Veer and Gopi? You found it first."
To Veer he mentioned,
"Veer, you're the fastest runner in Sundarvan, but when you play tag, Bala and Gopi always make you it. Isn't that unfair?"
And to Gopi, Sharu whispered,
"Gopi, you're the strongest bull here, but when you all play, Bala and Veer never let you win. That doesn't seem right."
Confused and a little upset, Bala, Veer, and Gopi started to spend a little time apart, pondering over Sharu's words. They began to graze in different parts of Sundarvan, each lost in thought. Seeing his chance, Sharu approached each bull separately with a proposal.
"Since we're both alone, how about we become friends and share a meal? Let us meet tomorrow."
Sharu got all excited thinking about the next day. However, Bala, Veer, and Gopi, missing the warmth of their friendship, realized they were happier together. They decided to meet and talk about what Sharu had said. As they shared their stories, they realized Sharu's plan. They agreed that Sharu tried to divide them, perhaps seeking their friendship. Laughing at the trick, they decided to invite Sharu to join them. The next day, Sharu found not one, but 3 bulls waiting for him.
"Sharu, we know you tried to trick us,"
said Bala, Veer, and Gopi together.
"But in Sundarvan, we believe in sharing and caring. You're welcome to join us as a friend."
Sharu was touched by their kindness, and all his jealousy vanished. In the company of the bulls, he found laughter and stories, and the loneliness that once shadowed him was lifted. Bala, Veer, and Gopi also realized their unity was their true strength. Bound by unshakable friendship, they pledged to never let doubt part them again. And from that day on, they grazed, played, and stood together, an unbreakable friendship in the face of any challenge. The end. The City Mouse and the Country Mouse. Once upon a time, in the heart of India, lived 2 mouse cousins, Viru, who enjoyed the serene lifestyle of the countryside, and Arjun, who thrived in the bustling city of Mumbai. Viru, with his simple tastes and love for the peaceful outdoors, decided it was time to invite his city-dwelling cousin for a visit.
"Arjun, you must come and experience the tranquility of the countryside,"
Viru wrote in his letter, decorated with petals and leaves. Intrigued by the invitation, Arjun packed his smallest suitcase and set off for an adventure in the countryside. Upon arrival, Arjun was greeted by Viru with a marigold garland. Arjun was mesmerized by the beauty of the village. The sweet scents of jasmine and marigold enchanted him. He sat by the riverside, lost in peaceful thoughts. Viru took him on a tour, showing off his humble abode and treating him to a feast of fresh grains, nuts, juicy fruits, and clear, cool water from the nearby stream. Arjun told Viru vivid tales of the city's wonders, stories of towering buildings that kissed the sky, of markets that sparkled like jewels under the nightlights, and of festivals and parades where everyone danced and laughed. Viru's eyes grew wider with each tale, a spark of curiosity kindling within him for the world that lay beyond his tranquil fields.
It's so quiet here,
Arjun observed, marveling at the stars shining brightly above them, a sight rarely seen in the city's neon glow. However, when they settled down to sleep, Arjun found it difficult to sleep. The peaceful countryside was too quiet for his liking, making him yearn for the familiar buzz of the city. While Viru, on the other hand, was sound asleep, dreaming of the city. The next morning, Arjun requested Viru to visit him in the city. Arjun promised a world of wonders, delicious feasts, sparkling lights, and endless adventures. Viru accepted Arjun's invitation and soon started for Mumbai, eager to experience the city's excitement. But the city was a whirlwind. Viru was dazzled by the fast-paced city. He enjoyed the flavors of chaat and the sweetness of kulfi. Yet the constant roar of traffic and the cramped spaces left him longing for his open fields. Their adventure took a turn when they narrowly escaped a sneaky cat in the alley, which left Viru rattled. Sitting atop a quiet rooftop, watching the sunrise over the city, Viru and Arjun shared their thoughts.
The city is exhilarating,
Viru admitted.
but my heart belongs to the countryside, where life is peaceful and slow.
Arjun nodded, understanding his cousin's sentiment.
And I've grown to admire the tranquility of your home, yet I know I'm meant for the city's hustle and bustle.
With a hug, they agreed that happiness truly lies in being where your heart feels content. Back home, Viru reflected on the city's lively markets, delicious treats like kulfi and chaat, and the impressive skyscrapers. But safely tucked away in his countryside nook, Viru appreciated his simpler and safer life. Amidst nature's calm, he found true peace, far from the city's fast life and threats like the alley cat. For Arjun, the city's energy outweighed any threats like the sneaky cat. He loved the bustling streets, variety of shops and skyscrapers. Amidst the city's lively chaos, he found his true joy, preferring its vibrant pace over the village's quiet. And so, the story of Viru and Arjun teaches us the beauty of experiencing new places and the joy of returning to where we feel most at home, be it the calm countryside or the lively city. The end. The Bear and the Bees. Once upon a time, in the heart of a lush green forest, there lived a curious little bear named Benny. Benny loved honey and was always on the lookout for it. One day, while exploring the forest, Benny stumbled upon a tree unlike any other. It was tall, with branches reaching out to the sky, and it had a hole from which an enchanting smell wafted. Benny knew that smell all too well. It was honey. His heart pounding with excitement, Benny approached the tree. But as he got closer, he heard a buzzing sound. It was soft at first, but grew louder and louder. Benny looked up and saw a swarm of bees flying around the hole in the tree. Undeterred by the buzzing guardians, Benny reached into the hole, dreaming of the sweet honey he would soon enjoy. But no sooner had his paw touched the honey, the bees swarmed out in defense of their home. They buzzed around Benny, and a few brave bees even gave him a little pinch.
Ouch!
Cried Benny, pulling his paw back. He realized then that he had made a mistake. The bees weren't just buzzing around for fun, they were protecting their hard-earned honey. Feeling a bit sorry, and with a sore paw, Benny backed away from the tree. He sat down, rubbing his paw, when an old, wise bee flew down to him. The bee, seeing the sorry state of the young bear, decided to share a piece of wisdom.
Dear Benny,
the bee buzzed,
it's important to remember that what belongs to others we must respect. If you ask nicely, there's often no need to fight or steal. Cooperation is better than conflict.
Benny nodded, understanding the lesson. He apologized to the bees for his intrusion. In return, the bees decided to share a small part of their honey with him. They had seen his courage and his willingness to learn from his mistakes. And so, Benny learned that stealing is bad. One must always respect others and their belongings, and asking nicely can lead to the sweetest rewards. He shared these lessons with all his friends in the forest, spreading joy and harmony throughout the land. The end. The Boy Who Cried Tiger. Once upon a time, a young boy named Rohan lived in a beautiful village nestled among the lush green hills of India. Rohan had the important job of watching over the village goats. Every day, he took the goats to the grassy meadows near the forest to graze. Rohan loved his job, but often felt lonely and longed for some excitement. One day, he devised a mischievous plan to stir up some fun. Standing on the hill, he shouted to the villagers below,
"Tiger! Tiger! A tiger is chasing the goats!"
The villagers, alarmed by the cry, dropped everything they were doing and rushed up the hill with sticks and stones to scare the tiger away. But when they arrived, they found Rohan laughing beside the calmly grazing goats. There was no tiger to be seen. The villagers were relieved, but also annoyed with Rohan for tricking them. They warned him not to play such pranks again and returned to their work. However, Rohan didn't take their warning seriously. A few days later, he cried out,
"Tiger! Tiger!"
again. And once again, the villagers came running to help, only to find that it was another prank. One afternoon, while the goats were munching on the sweet grass, a real tiger stealthily crept out of the forest, its eyes fixed on the goats. Rohan, seeing the danger, panicked and ran down the hill screaming,
"Tiger! Tiger! This time it's real! Please help!"
But the villagers, having been fooled twice, thought it was just another trick and continued with their work, ignoring his cries. Rohan felt hopeless as he rushed back to his goats. Watching the tiger get closer to the goats, he knew he had to do something. Just then, as if the sky had sensed Rohan's genuine fear and need for help, dark clouds gathered above, and a loud clap of thunder roared across the valley. Lightning flashed brightly, startling the tiger, which turned and ran back into the forest. Seeing the tiger flee, Rohan felt a sense of relief. He gathered his courage and led the goats back to the village. Relieved and grateful, Rohan learned a valuable lesson about speaking only the truth and the importance of trust. He promised himself that he would never lie again. The next day, he told the villagers the truth about the tiger and how the storm had saved the day. The villagers, instead of scolding, praised his bravery and honesty. The village elders decided it was time to teach all the young ones about the importance of truthfulness, responsibility, and the wisdom of the natural world. They invited Rohan to share his adventure as a lesson to others, making him a young ambassador of courage and honesty in the village. They all also worked to protect the village and its surroundings, ensuring that the beauty of their home was safeguarded for generations to come. From that day forward, Rohan became the most trustworthy goat keeper in the village. As the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow over the fields, Rohan felt grateful for the lessons learned. In the quiet of the meadow, with the goats safely grazing, he knew he had found his true source of joy and excitement in the simple, honest moments of life. The end. Two Silly Goats. In a quaint village in India, there stood an old, narrow bridge. This bridge, weathered by time and tales, connected two parts of the village, separated by a gentle river. One fine morning, as the sun cast a golden glow over the land, two goats, known in the village for their stubbornness, found themselves on opposite ends of this bridge. One was named Gopal, with a coat as white as the clouds that danced above, and the other, Mohan, whose fur gleamed like the midnight sky. Gopal, eager to explore the meadows on the other side, stepped onto the bridge with a spring in his step. At the same time, Mohan, driven by a desire for the sweet grass that was rumored to grow on the opposite bank, also began his journey across. With heads held high and not a thought for caution, they stepped onto the bridge, each from their end, their eyes locked in a challenge. As they met in the middle, neither willing to give way, the bridge groaned under their weight, a forewarning they chose to ignore.
"Move aside, Mohan. I won't budge,"
declared Gopal, his voice echoing off the surrounding trees.
"The meadows await me, not you, Gopal. Stand back,"
retorted Mohan, equally adamant. Neither would budge, their pride as vast as the river beneath. The goats clashed and fiercely battled on the narrow bridge. Their stubbornness was their folly, for at that moment, with a crack that silenced the morning chorus, the bridge gave way beneath them. Gopal and Mohan found themselves falling, almost in slow motion, into the cool, refreshing waters of the stream below. Looking helpless and scared as the current swirled around them, they bleated for help. Alarmed by the sound of the bridge collapsing, the villagers hurried to the riverbank. Seeing the goats struggling in the water, they quickly, with combined effort, pulled Gopal and Mohan to safety. Once safe on land, the goats felt silly and guilty. They realized that the conflict was unnecessary, and that together they could have easily crossed the bridge had one given way instead of letting ego lead. Realizing their mistake and learning from it, they shook hands and left, wiser from the experience. From that day on, the stream where they fell was known as the Stream of Reflection, reminding all who passed by of the day two silly goats learned the importance of wisdom over stubbornness and conflict. The end. The Ant and the Dove. In a lush green meadow filled with flowers and sunshine, there lived a tiny, curious ant named Andy. Andy was an explorer at heart, always on the lookout for new adventures and, more importantly, new food. But on this particularly hot day, Andy was on a different mission, a mission for water. As the sun blazed overhead, Andy's tiny feet scurried across the ground, leading him to the edge of a shimmering stream.
"Ah, finally!"
he exclaimed, eyeing the cool, inviting water. But just as he leaned in to take a drink, he slipped, and with a tiny splash, he found himself in the water.
"Help! Help!"
Andy cried, paddling desperately but going nowhere. The stream was not kind to a tiny ant. It was like being caught in a giant whirlpool. High above in the branches of an ancient oak tree, Percy the pigeon was taking a break from his busy day. Percy loved watching the stream below him, but today he noticed something unusual, a tiny speck struggling in the water. Percy didn't think twice. He picked a leaf off the ground and flew over the stream. He dropped the leaf like a lifeboat right in front of Andy.
"Jump on, little friend,"
cooed Percy. With all his might, Andy leaped onto the leaf, and just like that, he was sailing to safety. Once on dry land, he couldn't thank Percy enough.
"You saved my life. How can I ever repay you?"
Andy asked. Percy simply smiled.
"Just pay it forward. Help someone in need,"
he replied before flying back to his perch. Andy never forgot Percy's words and his kind deed, and soon enough, he got his chance to pay it forward. A few days later, while exploring, Andy noticed a hunter aiming at Percy, who was peacefully napping on his tree.
"Not on my watch,"
Andy declared. Sneaking up to the hunter, he climbed up the man's shoe, and with a mighty bite, he bit the hunter's ankle.
"Huey!"
yelled the hunter, his aim thrown off as he dropped his gun down. Percy, woken up by the commotion, realized the danger and flew away. After the hunter left, Percy flew down to Andy.
"You saved me. Thank you, my brave little friend,"
Percy said, grateful.
"Like you once said, Percy, let's keep paying it forward. Helping out is the best way we flutter and scurry along,"
Andy replied with a smile. And so, as the sun dipped low in the meadow, painting the sky with strokes of pink and gold, Andy and Percy couldn't help but dance. They danced in the meadow, buzzing and flapping, surrounded by a disco of fireflies. In that gleaming meadow, As Andy hopped and skipped and Percy flapped and twirled, the air itself seemed to sing a bright lesson. The kindness you share with the world doesn't just vanish. It whirls back to you, enriching your life in amazing and unforeseen ways. The End. The Lion and the Mouse. In the heart of a lush Indian jungle, where the trees danced with the wind and the rivers sang lullabies, there lived a grand lion named Veer. He loved nothing more than to bask in the sun, stretched out beneath the sprawling branches of a banyan tree, his majestic mane glittering in the sunlight. Veer was known far and wide as the king of the jungle, his roar echoing through the dense canopy. One warm afternoon, while Veer was lost in dreams of feasting on sumptuous food, a tiny mouse named Miko scurried right across Veer's whiskers. The sudden tickle startled Veer out of his slumber, and he woke up with a start. With a swift movement, he caught Miko with his mighty paw. Miko, trembling yet bold, squeaked out,
"Oh, mighty Veer, please spare me. I might be small, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to help you in return."
Veer couldn't help but let out a hearty laugh. The idea of such a tiny creature helping him seemed so amusing.
"All right, little Miko,"
Veer said, amusement still twinkling in his eyes.
"I will let you go. I'm curious to see how you could ever help me, the king of the jungle."
And with that, he let Miko go. Not long after, Veer found himself in a tricky situation. While exploring the jungle, he fell into a trap set by hunters, a net so strong that not even his mighty strength could free him. He roared and struggled, but it was no use. Remembering his encounter with Veer, Miko rushed to the scene as soon as he heard the commotion. With determination and a heart full of courage, Miko began to gnaw at the ropes of the net with his tiny, sharp teeth. It took hours, but Miko didn't give up. Finally, the last strand snapped, and Veer was free. Veer looked down at Miko with gratitude and admiration.
"Thank you, Miko. You've shown me that no matter how small, anyone can make a big difference. I was wrong to doubt you,"
he said. And so, Veer and Miko became the best of friends, their unlikely alliance a testament to the jungle's tales. The tale served as a powerful example to the animals of the jungle, demonstrating that kindness cannot be measured and that every creature, regardless of size, holds significance. The End.
Like, share, and subscribe for more.